Hi, you guys. We're working on Duke. I hope that you are enjoying it and that soon you will be able to take the AR test. It looks like we're more than halfway finished. When you take the AR test, I'm going to be able to see. I am super excited to see how many people have been listening along. Are you ready? It's chapter 13. It's called A Doggone Day, July 5th, 1944. Ooh, I'm a little blurry. Maybe I want it to be blurry. All right. Hobie groaned as he rolled over. Maybe he shouldn't have eaten that fourth hot dog last night. That would teach him to take a dare from Eric. He pushed himself out of bed, threw on some clothes, and went to the kitchen. Ouch, Mommy! June squirmed as Mommy dabbed something on her sunburned shoulders. This will help it feel better, Mom assured her. Now sit still. June fussed, but Mom finished applying a layer of the stuff. Your face looks a little pink, too, Mom motioned Hobie over and smeared some of the ointment on his nose. I guess we all got too much sun at the picnic yesterday. Hobie poured a glass of milk. I think I'll just have a piece of toast for breakfast, he said. June pretended to feed Kitty some cereal. What was your favorite part of the picnic, Kitty? I liked wading in the lake. She listened to her doll. Oh, the ice cream was so good, too. June munched a spoonful of cereal. What was your favorite part, Mommy? Mom poured herself a cup of coffee. Being with family. It's so nice for Ellen and the boys that Trig is home. Uncle Trig's the best hot dog roaster in the world, June exclaimed. Hobie groaned again. Do not mention hot dogs. He set down his toast. What was your favorite part? June asked. Probably the fireworks. Those were nifty, but when the B-29 flew over, that was something. It made those B-17s look like toys. As part of the city's celebration, there'd be a flyover, one of Boeing's brand new B-29s and two B-17s. The noise of that big plane, the Super Fortress, had drilled right down into Hobie's bones. Eric and Emil had even stopped their usual clowning around to watch. He wondered again, as he had last night, what Dad had done to celebrate Independence Day. Maybe he got in another mission, one mission closer to coming home. After breakfast, can you run to Lee's for me? We're out of condensed milk, Mom said. But did Uncle Trig need you today? Hobie drained his glass. No, he said tomorrow or the next day. He had some stuff he needed to do around the house first. Then you'll have time to mow the lawn, Mom said. Across the room, the Kit Kat clock, eyes moved and tail twitching, showed 9 o'clock. If Hobie hustled to the store, he could mow and still have time to get to the school for baseball. He ate the last bites of his toast. I'll be back soon, he said. He quickly brushed his teeth and then zoomed over to Lee's. Mrs. Lee was helping a lady when he got there. He had to wait his turn while they discussed which soap flakes were the best to buy. The lady finally decided on Lux. Oh, don't go yet, Edna, Mrs. Lee said. I bet Hobie's got a joke for us. Hobie felt a little odd telling a joke to a stranger, but he went ahead. Dad sent me this one last letter, he said. What do you do if you cross a skunk and a dog? Tomato juice, said the lady. That's the only thing that gets out the skunk smell. Right, but this is a joke, Edna. Mrs. Lee pursed her lips. I give up. Rid of the dog, Hobie said. The lady Edna hooted and laughed. I'm going to tell that to my grandson, if I can remember it. As she walked out of the store, Hobie heard her muttering, cross a skunk and a dog, skunk and a dog. Oh, that was one of your best, Mrs. Lee said. Was still chuckling as Hobie handed over the ration stamps and 29 cents for the 2 tins of milk. The dog joke reminded Hobie that he still hadn't come up with a solution for getting Duke back, and there'd be another letter from Private First Class Korf. This time he'd tucked in a few photos of him and Duke and some of the other war dogs. He pedaled home, thinking hard. Could he talk Mom into taking a vacation to California? Then they could bring Duke back. Hobie jounced over a crack on the sidewalk. Not likely. Even if Mom liked to drive long distances, which she didn't, there was a little problem of gas rationing. Hobie concentrated so hard on getting Duke back he could almost hear him. Hobie cocked his head. He did hear a dog whimpering. Hobie veered around. The sound seemed to be coming from a shed in the vacant lot behind him. He eased closer. A kid knelt on the floor of the shed, his back to Hobie. The dog, some kind of black and white mutt, was on the ground. A string of tin cans was tied to his tail. Hey, Hobie said, stepping forward. Leave that poor dog alone. He jerked the boy's shoulder. It was Max. Are are you doing? Hobie couldn't believe it was Max and that he was so cruel. I didn't do this, Max said. I'm trying to undo it. He pulled out his pocket knife to cut through the twine. Geez, this is tied so tight. I'm afraid I'm going to cut him. The dog thrashed wildly to get away from Max and his knife, but it didn't growl or try to bite him. Let me help. Hobie knelt down. The dog looked like some kind of lab, but with shorter legs. Hey there, boy. He did a quick check. I mean, girl. It's okay. We won't hurt you. He twisted around again, trying to get free. Hobie began stroking the spot between her eyes. That used to calm Duke down when he was all riled up. Let's get those dumb cans off you, okay? Hobie spoke calmly, quietly. After a few more minutes, the dog stopped squirming. She rolled on her back. Good girl, Hobie said, rubbing her skinny little belly. Max quickly sliced the string free of the cans. I need to get that part off of her tail. It's so tight she's bleeding. Hobie could see he was right. I don't suppose you have any food on you. Max shook his head. Me either. I was going to be tricky without a treat to distract her. How were they going to cut that string? Hobie thought about the first time he'd had to trim Duke's toenails. Man, did Duke put up a fight. Then Hobie got the idea to leave the trimmers around. But by Duke's dish, by his blanket, in the kitchen. In Hobie's room, he gave Duke every chance to check them out, and he praised Duke every time he let Toby touch him with the trimmers. It took a long while, but Duke got used to them. Let her sniff the knife, Hobie told Max. What? Max asked. Just try it. Max held out the knife while Hobie kept petting the dog, praising her. See, that won't hurt you, Hobie said, as she nosed at the knife handle. He rubbed her belly. We need to use it to get the string off, he explained to the dog. He could feel her relax under his petting and his words. After a while, he motioned to Max to cut it. Got it, Max said, holding up the snip string. Wow, you're good with dogs. Well, I have one, you know. The words slipped out before Hobie could stop them. But he did have a dog, and would have him back soon. Max reached over and began petting the dog's head. She kept trying to lick him. I bet she got scared by the fireworks last night and ran away, he said. Maybe, said Hobie, but her ribs are poking out, and he waved his hand in front of his nose. She stinks. He saw something jump in her fur. It looks like she's got fleas, too. One of us needs to take her home. Max stroked her silky black ears. I mean, while we look for her family. The dog barked. She likes the idea. Max scratched her under the chin. I have all the dog stuff, Hobie said. I bet Mom would say it would be okay if we kept her for a while. Max ducked his head. I know you're good with dogs, he said, but I'd like to take her. He pulled a twig off the dog's fur. Sure, go ahead, Hobie said. Max rocked back and forth on his heels. The thing is, Ma says we don't need another mouth to feed. I can bring over you some of Duke's food, Hobie offered, and you could tell your mom it probably wouldn't be for very long. I'll help you put up signs. Max rubbed the dog's head. Yeah, not for very long. But he didn't sound happy about that. We can start on the signs this afternoon, Hobie said. I gotta mow the lawn first. He could skip the baseball game this once for a good cause. Okay, Max stared into the dog's face. For now, I'm going to call you Pepper, he said. Hobie's neck was itching from moving the grass. He turned to the kitchen faucet and ducked his head underneath it. He felt even better after drowning all that downing an ice cold glass of lemonade. Someone's at the door, June called. I'll get it. Hobie scrambled to beat his sister to answer it. It was Max. I hope it's okay that I brought Pepper, Max said. By the way, did you know that I have some mail? That you have some mail? Did you get a dog? June pushed under Hobie's arm. Here, doggy. She's lost, Hobie said, reaching around through the door jamb and pull the letters from their mailbox. But I'm keeping her while we look for her owners, Max explained. Hey, one of those letters is to you. The top envelope was addressed to Hobie in private first-class course handwriting. It's from Duke, June exclaimed. Read it. Duke? Max said. Isn't that your dog? Yeah, Hobie cleared his throat. His handler writes me like Duke's writing. Would Max laugh at him? Call him a baby? Max tilted his head. Wow, that's pretty nifty. Hobie let out a breath and realized he'd been holding. Do you want to hear it? Yes. June and Max sat at the same time. June scooted onto the porch swing. Here, Pepper. Pepper looked at Max. It's okay, girl, he said. Pepper jumped up next to June as Max leaned against the railing. Hobie opened the letter and began to read. Dear Hobie, the War Dogs unit is in tip-top shape. Even if the Two-legged Marines don't have quite the pep that us four-legged buddies do. You'll be glad to know that I passed my swimming test with flying colors. I can dog paddle with the best of them. We're at a new camp now, not posh by a long shot, but I get to bunk with Marv, so that's okay. It's kind of hot where we are. Times like this, I almost wish I was a Doberman. Less fur. Time for chow, your pal, Duke. P.S. Has been swell. Duke has been swell. He is one of the top dogs in the unit. Best you're not surprised about that. Bet you're not surprised about that. I sure sleep better at night knowing I'd like to take him over Rin Tin Tin any day. Semper Fi, Marv. June clapped her hands, then Hobie finished. I knew Duke would be the best dog, she said. Hobie flicked his fingers against the corner of the letter. He didn't feel like talking for a minute. Max looked it in. It sounds like Duke's doing very great, he said. Like they're both doing great. Like they're both doing great. Hobie slowly folded up the letter. What it sounded like was Private First Class Corf and Duke were becoming best friends. Even if he's in the Marines, he's still your dog, Max said, as if he could read Hobie's mind. I know, Hobie said, but a little seed of doubt had been planted. Well, we better get to work on those signs. Max moved toward the open door and Pepper jumped off the swing to follow. Do you want us to help? Max asked June. Oh, sorry, do you want to help us? Max asked June. No, said Hobie. Yes, June slid off the swing. We can use my crayons. Hobie made a face. She's never going to leave us alone, he warned. Max jiggled the rope leash he'd rigged up. Sorry. An only child like Max probably didn't understand anything about sisters. Hobie sighed. It's okay. They scrounged up some blank paper and went to work. Pepper plunked down on the floor under the kitchen table. I'm doing my best penmanship, June said. Isn't it good, Max? Very nice. Max looked up from the sign he was working on. I like the colors. You chose too. June began to sing. How much is the doggie in the window? The one with the waggly tail? How much is the doggie in the window? I do hope that doggie's for sale. Pepper's tail thumped against the floor. She likes that song, June said. Hobie was almost finished with the sign he was working on. What's your telephone number? He asked Max. Aren't I a great singer? June said, coloring in the picture of the dog she'd drawn. Aren't I? Really good, Max said to her. Then he gave his number to Hobie. Mom brought them some cookies as they finished up. 10, 11, 12. Hobie counted the signs. This should get us started anyway. Are you ready? Can I come? June asked. Hobie answered before Max could. No. Mommy, June whined. Mom popped her head into the kitchen. June, the boys don't need you tagging along today. Why don't you help me pick some peas for dinner? I'd rather go with them, June pointed at the boys. I could hold on to Pepper. June, Mom used her. That's the end of this discussion, boys. Come with me. Max tugged on Pepper's leash. Let's go, girl. Neither he nor Pepper seemed too excited. I thought we'd hang a couple by where we found her, Hobie said. Max clumped down the steps slowly. Okay. And I guess we should hang a couple near the school. Maybe Mrs. Lee would let us hang one at the store, Hobie suggested. They figured out 12 places to hang the signs, saving Lee's grocery for last. Here, said Max, handing Hobie the leash. You watch Pepper while I go in and ask. Hobie scratched Pepper's back. He could see that Max was getting very attached to her. That would only make it harder to give her up to his real family. She said okay. Max jumped down the steps. But she said she hadn't heard of anyone losing a dog lately. She rubbed Pepper's head. Maybe you don't have a family, he said. Yet. One look at Max's face and Hobie knew he had fallen for Pepper. Hook, line, and sinker. All right, you guys, that is the end of chapter 13. I will see you tomorrow.